Hello everybody, my name is Phythodas. Welcome to this video. Here we have a new build. This is a build of this January. This build is called the Legacy build. Why do I call this build the Legacy build? The Legacy build. I call this build the Legacy because this is a thematic build. It is the Legacy refers to the idea behind this build. When I was playing, I think it was a live stream some months ago in this channel. We were playing multiplayer, I think, and we had this item down on the ground. It dropped from enemies or containers, I don't even remember. This one, when I picked it up, I instantly read the skill description, the Ancestral Warrior, activated upon taking melee damage, and instantly I got the idea for this build at that moment. And now we are here having this build ready to go at a bit legendary difficulty. And here we are, this is a build. So, the idea behind this build, the Legacy build. Since this item gives you Ancestral Warriors when you take melee damage, then the idea was to make a build where we will be playing with Ancestral Warriors. And this is actually the theme of the build, the concept. Ancestral Warriors. It is a pet melee build. This character is a melee character, but we rely mostly on the combination of pet damage and our damage. This character alone doesn't deal lots of damage, first of all. So, we rely very much on our pets and other skills, of course. And since the idea, the build is a thematic one, it has to do with Ancestral Warriors, my thought was something like this. So, we play with Ancestral Warriors, and we also use the skill Guardian Stones from Rune Mastery, which is this one here. And I thought that this one would fit perfectly with the concept, the theme of this build, Guardian Stones. You know, hypothetically, let's think of a scenario where in the past some people of the past, guardians of kings of the past, things like that, created these magical stones, and these magical stones then became something like a spell somehow, and now we are the people of the future and we can use this spell of the guardians of the past and use it for us to defeat our new enemies. And we are using at the same time the Ancestral Warriors that we get from the skill, and also these items, this helm and this Key of Elysium weapon, amazing item. So we combine Ancestral Warriors and Guardian Stones, and this way we get the theme complete of this build, which is called the Legacy. The Legacy refers to Guardian Stones and a hypothetical scenario that you can create, imagine about the Guardian Stones, and also to Ancestral Warriors, which are supposed to be ancient warriors that fought battles. They died in glory, and now we can summon their ghosts and help us defeat the new enemies. I was going to say titans, but unfortunately there is only one titan in this game. Anyway, I got more titans. Anyway, so this is the theme of the build. Now for the items, this build of course, it is actually a hybrid build. It is a melee build, a pet build, and also it converts totally the physical damage to elemental. Which means that every time we attack with this item, we can see the item has some physical based damage up to 194, but it is all converted to elemental because we use the transmutation skill and because we use this artifact. So, before we go to the items, this is the idea of the build. Transmute everything to elemental, and also play with Ancestral Warriors and use the skills here, down here. Let's go to the skills. This is a Berserker class. We play with Warfare Mastery and Rune. From Warfare Mastery, we use the dodge attacks. This one gives survivability, but it comes in contradictory to this item here, because this one to trigger it call Ancestral Warriors you have to take melee attacks, melee damage. And when you use this skill here, you avoid many melee attacks. So you know, it is there is a contradiction here, but anyway, we use it to survive. Mostly surviving is even more important than getting these guys from here, so it is okay. When it triggers, it triggers. We use the battle standard with the Triumph. These two skills are amazing. We need to be casting these ones. They provide much more damage output, but also loads of damage absorption, survivability. And the good thing is that we can cast this one every 12 seconds. The lifetime is 36 seconds of this one, so we can have one constantly active if we want during the whole gameplay session. And we activate this one, and when we activate it, even though we deal all the time elemental damage because we have fully converted our weapon based damage to elemental, we still deal physical damage because we gain physical damage from this battle standard. This number here, 274 damage, is physical damage. We get it, and of course we deal now both elemental and physical damage, and sometimes we also deal critical damage because in this game you deal critical damage only with physical damage hits. So we get also critical damage with this skill here, which is amazing. We also use the War Horn with the Doom Horn add-on. This skill is amazing, of course. First it stuns enemies, it helps very much with survivability. And also with this one we reduce the armor of our enemies. Reducing armor of enemies means that they receive more physical damage, which means of course that they receive more physical damage not only by our own attacks of our heroes, but also from our ancestral warriors, because these guys also deal physical damage and their damage output is not that big. They don't deal lots of damage, but when you activate the skill on enemies that get their armor reduced, this means that they receive more damage from these guys and also from our own attacks. We use of course the Ancestral Warrior skill, the Ancestral Horn, because this way we summon these guys. We have reduced to 60 seconds the cooldown of this skill, because actually I forgot to say in the beginning of the video that this is a hybrid build. I said that, but I didn't say that one of the reasons this is a hybrid build is that because we also play with intelligence, strength and dexterity. We use all three attributes at the same time, and as you can see they are very balanced. The numbers very balanced, and we need, for this build to work at its best, we need 80%, which is the cap, the maximum reduction to the recharge time of our skills. And to do that we need items like this one, for example, which provides 46% reduction to the recharge time. And to be able to equip this one we need, as we can see in the description of the item, 455 intelligence, and we have about 559. So as you can see, it is a hybrid build. It is not a build that a beginner can make because you don't have access to the items, of course, which is the most important thing for a build like this one. But having this reduction 80%, we can see that this skill from 360 seconds, the cooldown is reduced to 60 seconds, which is awesome because now we can be casting, summoning these guys every 60 seconds. And also this is why we can be casting this skill every 12 seconds. This one initially has a 60 seconds cooldown, but with the 80% reduction now we can cast it to every 12 seconds, and this is very awesome because it helps significantly. So these are the skills. Now I'm putting points on Battle Rage and Classic Blow, yeah, little by little, because I have maxed out the important skills of this mastery and I don't need... I forget to mention the weapon training. This one is also of course very important. It gives you attacking speed, which is super important for this build, and it gives you also offensive ability, which again helps very much dealing critical hits, and of course it helps very much hitting your enemies with your melee attacks. Let's go to Rune Mastery. In Rune Mastery we play with a Rune Weapon, it is maxed out. We play with Magical Charge, which adds more elemental damage, it is maxed out. We have maxed out Energy Drain, which gives attack damage converted to health, energy leech per second, these two are very important, and also slowed to enemies that get hit from our attack, Rune Weapon attack, and also reduced offensive ability to these enemies. Very nice skill, and of course the Transmutation. Now, here I didn't spend many points because I didn't need to, since we get this one, if you take it to level 10, the natural cap is 6, if you take it to plus 4 which is 10, it will go up to 99% weapon based elemental conversion. It doesn't go up to 100%, so if you got to take it to maximum 100%, you have to use at least one item that provides an amount of weapon based damage becomes elemental, like this one. This is why I don't have more points here spent. Actually, I think I can take 1 point out of this skill and put it somewhere else. Anyway, so we are using the Rune Weapon. The Rune Weapon increases, as we can see, total damage, which means every type of damage that you deal, physical, pierce, elemental, whatever. And also it increases significantly your intelligence points attribute and also elemental damages. Now, I thought that since this one increases mostly elemental damages, why not convert the physical damage of this item to elemental? Because this one would scale even better with this skill. If we have this item dealing elemental instead of physical based damage, it would scale much better with this skill, because this one increases physical, but it increases much more elemental. And this is why we do this conversion, because after all, the base damage of this weapon is not that big. Especially for legendary difficulty, it is not that big. So I thought I would better turn it to elemental completely and gain also the buffs from the skill and also the buffs from this one, and this way we deal even more elemental damage. Of course, we still get physical damage added to our build from this one here, which scales very nicely if you still use the physical damage of this one, but I thought that it would be better to go full elemental, and then if I need physical damage, I get it from here after all, and still I can do some critical damage with physical damage. We have the energy armor, it is on level 8. This one of course is amazing skill, it helps, it gives you damage absorption against the physical pierce and bleeding, and also it gives you stun resistance. For survivability reasons it is very good. I'm using the Sacred Rage because of the stats that it provides, and also the Frightening Power because of the stats that it provides. I'm using of course the Runeward Feather, it makes sense, after all we play with a weapon, a melee build with a weapon that requires strength to equip, so this one is mandatory. We play with this skill here, which is mandatory when you play runes, Rune Mastery. We use this one, Explode, which again deals physical and fire damage and also some stun on enemies when it triggers. It is very nice, it scales very nicely with this one and in general with all the attacks or the skills or battle standard, which provides even more damage, physical. And we have the Runeward Burn. Now, this one, it is not really that good, but anyway, I have points to spend. After all, I have maxed out all of my super important skills, so now I spend points in secondary skills, I would call them, skills that I don't really need that much. As this one, for example, like this one. I have maxed out the Runeward Absorb. This is very nice. This is very nice because it gives you shield recovery time for your shield, which means that your shield now can block attacks even more frequently. It gives you absorption of spell energy, which gives you back energy points when enemies cast skill on you, and also energy leech retaliation per second. Enemies that hit you with melee attacks, you leech them instantly per second for a 78 number. Now for this area we have the menu wall. I use this one but not that much. Anyway, I use it if I have some enemies, many enemies on the battlefield and some enemies are far away, they throw projectiles at me. I can cast this one in front of them, for example something like that. They hit now the wall and I get protection this way and I fight the enemies here in front of me. And we have of course the Guardian Stone skill, which is a skill that deals lots of damage. It has a long cooldown, but with the maximum reduction that we get from this setup, we have it at 48 seconds recharge time. And when you cast this one, you get these 3 Guardian Stones, and these 3 hit enemies inside with some attacks, that some projectiles. Actually it is something like beams, something like that. And it helps very much killing enemies, and also it is very helpful against boss fights. So you have the boss in the middle, these 3 things hit the boss, you have the battle standard ground, on the ground, you have your ancestral warriors hitting the boss and you destroy everything. Everything gets destroyed. So, yeah, these are the skills. Now in the future I'm going to put more points on, I will max out these 2. I will max out these 2 because I have many points left to spend on skills, that secondary skills as I said before. So for now these are the skills for the build. When it comes to attributes, forget it. I'm not going to go into this one because to get this amount of attributes you need to have the items. I started this character from level 40 and accomplished hero because I had some items to equip, and to make this build you will need to have first some of the items at least, because you need to know what you are going to be using for the end game of the build. For example, for the end game of the build you are going to be using this item here because it gives you 46% recharge. This number is random, of course, it could be 38 or 40 or 42. It is not a standard number, but you need it to have the highest number of recharge possible. So this is an end game item for this build, and this is one of the reasons why this build ends up becoming a hybrid build, because we need lots of the intelligence points to be able to equip this one. So if when you start this character you have the items available, or you know that you are going to be using these items, then you need to spend points on intelligence, you need to spend points on strength, and you need to spend points on dexterity. Of course, since you have here these 2 masteries, this one helps very much with equipping weapons that require strength, which means that if you start using this one very soon, then you don't need to put so many strength points here for equipping your weapon. Of course, the problem is not only the weapon, the problem is also other items that require strength, lots of strength. As we can see, this one requires 564 strength, but it also gives 30% reduction to all requirements. And yeah, I had the items, I had some other items before equipping these ones here, and this is how I managed to reach this thing here, this balanced attribute points state. And how did I do that? I was trying to spend my points where I needed to at the time, and because I had some plans on my head, I was thinking of equipping this item at some point in the future, or this item, or I had plans to equip this item, and I was trying to calculate where my points would go. So there is no clear answer here. It all depends on what items you start with, what items you find. For this build it is a challenging build. If you don't have all of these items, or if you are not an advanced player, if you are a new player, just forget it, I would say. Because first of all, you don't have the items. Yeah, it is a hybrid build actually. It is a very nice build, but it is a challenging one to make. So, For the items, we have the Key of Elysium because it gives you Ancestral Warriors. This is the theme of the build. We play Ancestral Warriors, so we get Ancestral Warriors from this item when we hit enemies. This is why attack speed for this build is super important, because the faster you attack with this item, the more chances you have to trigger these Ancestral Warriors more frequently. And from this item you can have up to 3 warriors at any one time on the battlefield. We have the Brynhild's Helm. This is a Ragnarok item. This is a perfect item for this build because it is also made for Berserker class. We play Berserker class. It gives you Ancestral Warriors. It fits perfectly the theme of the build. Of course, the damage of these Ancestral Warriors is a very small amount. Very small amount. But as I said before, when you use skills like Battle Standard and when you debuff enemies with Warhorn, then these guys deal much more damage against enemies, and the same applies to these guys. They deal more damage against enemies, and also this skill, these guys deal more damage against enemies. We use the ring Alki. This one was upgraded during normal difficulty. This is why it has 2 added stats. This is a very important item for this skill, for this build, because it allows you creating this build from the beginning. We have the Persephone's Ring. This is a great item for this build again, with the energy cost reduction, with the elemental resistances, and skill disruption protection, the total damage, and dexterity defensive ability. Projectile speed is useless, and cold damage, it is very nice because after all we deal elemental damage, so this cold damage helps. We have the Shield of Skald, one more Ragnarok item. This is a great shield. It gives you +5 to Rune Ward Absorb. Rune Ward Absorb is this one, Rune Ward Absorb. This is why we have it at +4 maxed out completely, because we gain +5 from this shield. This is a great item for this build also, and it also comes with a skill Mystic Circle. When you take ranged damage, this one triggers and it hits enemies with 3 different types of damage. The damage that it deals on enemies on epic difficulty at least is not that high, but if this is not the only source of damage that we do to our enemies. So if the enemies get hit by these amounts here of damage, small amounts, then they get hit by Ancestral Warriors and they get hit by some of our attacks. You see that this way, all of the sources of attacks combined, we kill enemies faster, so it helps very much. As we said before, we have this item here at Mage's class, mostly because of the recharge time reduction. We got 80% recharge time reduction. We use the Polaris. I will probably replace this one, even though this one is a great item for this build because it gives more elemental damages. And also it gives recharge time reduction and also energy cost reduction. The recharge time reduction, of course we need it, but the thing is that currently we have... wait, let's go there in a while. Let's see this one. We have the Demon Skin Walkers. This is a great item for this build. It is an item for intelligence classes, so one more reason why this build is a hybrid build. Intelligence. We require lots of intelligence to be able to equip this one and this one. But this is a great item because it provides you +1 to all skills, more elemental damages, and huge amounts of resistances, survivability. Amazing. And last but not least, we have the greater artifact, Gembedyne, something like that. This is a great artifact for all the stats that it provides. +2 to skills in Rune Mastery, -25% recharge time, 50% weapon-based damage becomes elemental, and 25% chance of +200% elemental damages. This is awesome. Awesome. Again, this one scales greatly with the full conversion that we do to our physical damage to elemental. So, as I was saying before, a couple of these items, I don't know yet which items, but a couple will be probably replaced in the future during Legendary, and I think that one of the items will be this one. I use this one mostly for the -15% recharge, but now I get 46% from this one, and 25% from this one. We are at 71%, and we get 13% from this one. We are more than 80%. So we don't need the recharge reduction from this one. So maybe in the future I will replace this one, or I will keep this one and I will replace this one. I don't know yet. We will see. I will try to find the best items possible for this build, especially for survivability reasons, to gain more resistances in the future for legendary, and we will see. For now, for epic, this is the setup, and this setup works great. It works great, and as we can see here, I have applied 16 points of my attributes, the new attributes. I will not apply any more points during legendary, because I want first to see which items I will replace, what requirements for strength, intelligence or dexterity those items may have, and depending on the requirements I will spend my attribute points on the attributes that need for the new items to equip. This is why I save my attribute points now. Yeah, so for my deaths I have only 3 deaths. These 3 deaths were unnecessary, of course. The build is very good. It is not immortal. There are good chances that you will die even in epic difficulty, because some resistances, for example, are not good. 37% bleeding is bad, especially in Act 5 Ragnarok, but anyway, you can survive easily if you know what you are doing during battle, if you have your brains into the battle, into the game. Yeah, this is the build, the legacy build. So, do you want me to go and... actually, you cannot answer, this is not a live stream. Let me activate this one. Actually, I have streamed once this build. I will stream it again probably in the near future, and maybe I will make more videos for this build. Let's go to Hades. Let's go Volleybos. Let's go kill Typhon. Here we are. Activate our skills. Let's have a little bit of gameplay. Yeah, where is... Okay, I can see the light now. Trigger this one. Nice. It helps very much having the battle standard constantly on the ground if you want. It helps super very much. Let's go. As we can see, in every battle here we can have a battle standard on the ground. But I will not activate it right now, these guys are easy. Let's go here. I will not summon these guys because I want to keep them for Typhon. These guys cause skill disruption. It is a very annoying effect actually in this game. One of the most annoying effects I could say. But anyway, Cyclops Elder, Giant. Okay, let's go for the boss. Now I will trigger Ancestral Horn, Guardian Stones, and of course Battle Standard, and I will use this one against the boss. Everything is ready, let's go. The boss is down. This is the build. It is not a hard build to play with, it is an easy build to play with. You do very few specific things during battle. And I found 1-2 epic items and 3 formula. Aha! 3 formula, eh? Ouch, that was very loud. So, guys, this is the legacy build. Of course, this build has finished epic difficulty, but it hasn't been through legendary. I will take the build through legendary. We will have some live streams probably through legendary and maybe some gameplay videos. I don't know your opinion, leave your opinion down in the comment section. I hope everything makes sense that I said about the build. If you have any questions, of course, leave comments and I will reply as soon as possible. This is the legacy build, the build of the past that looks into the future and destroys enemies of the past into the future. Whatever. Ancestral warriors, baby.